A Soviet relic falls. Su-24 bomber shot down. Pilot ejects over hostile territory. Aircraft manufactured in 1987. Older than the pilot flying it. This is modern air warfare. Russian Air Force operating museum pieces against cutting-edge Western technology. The gap is not measured in years. It is measured in generations. Skyfall Warfare documents the mismatch. 06:17 a.m. near Avdiivka front. Su-25 ground attack sortie. Aircraft shows visible corrosion. Maintenance records are concerning. Engines operating beyond rated lifespan. Avionics from Cold War era. Radar warning receiver outdated completely. Pilot receives mission briefing. Strike coordinates provided manually. No data link to command systems. Navigation by paper map backup. This is 1980s technology fighting 2025 warfare. Man-pads launch detected too late. Stinger missile locks, infrared signature. Flares deploy, but prove ineffective. Countermeasure systems degraded by age. Missile strikes left engine directly. Aircraft loses power immediately. Pilot attempts controlled ejection. Ejection seat fires successfully. Parachute deploys over enemy lines. Aircraft crashes into tree line. Wreckage shows extensive pre-existing damage. Panels held by improvised fasteners. Hydraulic lines patched repeatedly. This plane should never have flown. What caused the most damage? A. Old technology. B. Poor maintenance. C. NATO systems. Skyfall Warfare tracks the pattern. Russian aviation faces critical obsolescence crisis. Active fleet consists primarily Soviet-era designs with many airframes exceeding 35 years of operational service, far beyond intended lifespan, while facing adversaries equipped with fifth-generation stealth fighters and integrated air defense networks that render Cold War tactics completely obsolete. Wait 43 a.m. at Belgorod Airbase. Technicians inspect Su-27 fighter. Engine requires replacement immediately. Spare parts unavailable currently. Cannibalization from other aircraft necessary. 3 planes stripped for 1 operational. Maintenance crews work without manuals. Experience replaces documentation increasingly. Quality control deteriorates steadily. Flight safety becomes secondary concern. Mission requirements override everything. The aircraft must fly today. Structural integrity questionable at best. Fuel system leaks detected. Patched rather than properly repaired. Hydraulic pressure fluctuates dangerously. Accepted as operational normal. Ejection system last tested 2019. Nobody mentions that fact. Pilot climbs into aging cockpit. Instruments are analog gauges mostly. No helmet-mounted display systems. No sensor fusion capabilities. This fighter predates modern warfare, yet it scrambles against threats. New strike wave confirmed. More launches detected. 11:29 a.m. over Black Sea. Su-30SM intercepts reconnaissance drone. American RQ-4 Global Hawk detected. Flying at 60,000 feet altitude. Su-30 struggles reaching that height. Engines strain against performance limits. Radar locks target intermittently. Fire control system glitches repeatedly. Missile launch authorization requested. Command denies engagement clearance. Drone flies. NATO airspace boundary. International incident risks too high. Su-30 shadows uselessly from below. Fuel consumption critical after climb. Must return to base immediately. Mission accomplishes nothing operationally. Meanwhile, reconnaissance continues unimpeded. Intelligence gathered on Russian positions. The technological gap is humiliating. Skyfall Warfare shows the reality. Which system failed first? A. Aircraft engines. B. Radar systems. C. Pilot training. 02:14 p.m. brings combat engagement. MiG-29 scrambles emergency intercept. Ukrainian Su-27 detected approaching. Both aircraft are Soviet designs. Both manufactured same decade. Should be even match-up, theoretically. But Ukraine received modernization packages. Western avionics installed recently. Radar upgraded to NATO standards. Data link connects to AWACS. Situational awareness vastly superior. Russian MiG flies blind comparatively. Radar shows basic contacts only. No identification friend or foe integration. No beyond visual range capability. Pilot must close to visual distance. That negates any advantage immediately. Ukrainian fighter fires first. R-27 missile streaks toward target. Russian pilot sees launch warning late. Chaff deployed desperately. Countermeasures prove partially effective. Missile tracks, chaff cloud instead. But now, Russian on defensive. Fuel state becoming critical concern. Must withdraw or risk running dry. Disengagement maneuver initiated immediately. Ukrainian fighter claims mission kill. Target driven off without destruction. Russian pilot returns humiliated. Aircraft capability proved insufficient. The same platform performs differently. Upgrades make decisive difference. Is air defense collapse inevitable here? Comment Y or N. Skyfall Warfare analyzes the doctrine. 04:47 p.m. at Maintenance Depot. 50 aircraft awaiting repair. Parts shortages affect everything. Engines grounded for months. Avionics systems cannibalized extensively. One plane in 10 remains operational. Mechanics improvise constantly. Non-standard repairs become standard practice. Safety margins eroded completely. Accident rates climbing steadily. Command ignores maintenance warnings. Sortie requirements exceed capacity. Planes fly regardless of readiness. Pilots complain about aircraft condition. Complaints ignored or punished. Nobody refuses to fly. Career consequences too severe. So aging jets take off daily. Some return safely, others do not. The attrition is unsustainable, but the war continues anyway. 06:33 p.m. combat loss confirmed. Su-34 bomber intercepted over target. Syrian airspace near Aleppo. Israeli F-35 engaged undetected. Stealth fighter invisible to radar. Su-34 had no warning whatsoever. First indication was missile launch. Python 5 closed from 6 miles. Russian crew never saw attacker. Radar showed nothing concerning. Missile warning came too late. Aircraft destroyed in seconds. Both crew members killed instantly. Wreckage scattered across a mountainside. Israeli fighter departed unseen. Returned to base without incident. Mission accomplished with zero risk. This is fifth-generation dominance. Soviet-era aircraft cannot compete, cannot detect the threat, cannot engage the target, cannot survive the encounter. The technological mismatch is absolute. If you follow high-intensity air wars type, Skyfall. Skyfall Warfare examines the numbers. Russian Air Force operates approximately 1,100 combat aircraft, currently with over 70% representing Soviet-era designs, including Su-24, Su-25, Su-27, and MiG-29 variants, many exceeding 30 years service life. While NATO fields, F-35, F-22, and Eurofighter Typhoon with sensor fusion, stealth characteristics, and network-centric warfare capabilities that provide insurmountable advantages in detection, engagement range, and survivability. 08:19 p.m. shows desperation measures. Ancient Su-24s pulled from storage. Aircraft retired years ago previously. Returned to service from boneyards. Corrosion covers entire airframe. Systems outdated 4 decades. Some components require hand fabrication. Original manufacturers no longer exist. Replacement parts impossible to source. Yet these planes fly combat missions because alternatives simply do not exist. Production of modern aircraft insufficient. Factories cannot meet demand. New planes cost too much. Budget cannot afford replacements. So Cold War relics continue flying. Pilots fly what they are given. Training cannot overcome technology deficit. Skill matters less than sensors. Experience cannot defeat stealth. Courage cannot stop missiles. The human factor becomes irrelevant. Superior technology dominates completely. 10:44 p.m. operational statistics grim. 14 aircraft lost this month. 7 to air defenses. 4 to mechanical failure. 3 to air-to-air combat. Replacement rate is 3 aircraft monthly. Attrition exceeds production by a factor of 5. Fleet shrinks every single month. Readiness rates decline correspondingly. Mission-capable aircraft now 53%. 6 months ago was 71%. Trendline projects complete collapse. Within 18 months, operational capability gone. Unless something changes dramatically. But nothing suggests change coming. Production cannot increase rapidly. Existing aircraft age regardless. The mathematics are unforgiving. Skyfall Warfare tracks the decline. 11:57 p.m. maintenance log review. Su-27 flew with cracked canopy. Hydraulic system leaked continuously. Landing gear extended manually. Radar inoperative entire mission. Pilot reported controls sluggish. Post-flight inspection shows wing cracks. Aircraft grounded indefinitely now, but it flew today's mission regardless. Because mission requirements demanded it. Safety became secondary consideration. This represents systemic failure. Not isolated incident, but pattern. Maintenance standards eroded completely. Quality assurance non-existent practically. Inspection procedures abbreviated or skipped. Documentation falsified to meet readiness. Commanders demand mission capability. Reality of aircraft condition ignored. Until catastrophic failure occurs. Then investigations blame pilot error. Structural failure called operator mistake. The system protects itself always. What breaks next in this conflict? Comment below. 0123. AM brings technology comparison. F-35 Lightning II stealth fighter. First flight December 2006. Operational service since 2015. Radar cross-section 0.0 square meters. Practically invisible to detection. APG-81 ASA radar sees everything. Tracks hundreds of targets simultaneously. Sensor fusion combines all data. Pilot has godlike awareness. Helmet display shows complete picture. Can target enemies behind aircraft. AIM 120D missiles range 100 miles. Launch and forget from safety. Stealth allows first shot advantage. Enemy never sees it coming. Compare this to MiG-29. First flight, October 1977. Technology from Carter administration. Radar cross-section 15 square meters. Visible to sensors from distance. N019 radar antiquated completely. Tracks 10 targets maximum. No sensor fusion whatsoever. Pilot relies on voice radio. No helmet-mounted display. Must point nose at target. R-77 missiles range 50 miles. But radar cannot guide that far. Effective range actually 30 miles. Must enter enemy missile range first. Gets shot before shooting. The mismatch is generational. Skyfall Warfare asked which system failed first. Answer: BD radar systems. Soviet-era radar technology cannot detect stealth aircraft at operational ranges. Even when radars function perfectly, they lack capability to track low observable targets. Fire control systems cannot provide targeting solutions. Missiles cannot engage what radar cannot see. The entire kill chain fails fundamentally. Modern warfare requires modern sensors. Cold War technology cannot compete. This is not pilot skill issue, not training problem, not tactical failure, pure technological inadequacy. No amount of courage overcomes it. Can air forces recover from obsolescence? Not without massive investment. New aircraft cost billions. Development takes decades. Production requires years. Russia cannot afford replacement fleet. Economic constraints limit options severely. Sanctions restrict technology access. Domestic production insufficient. China offers some alternatives, but quality remains questionable, and strategic dependence grows. The hole is too deep. Recovery timeline measured in decades. Meanwhile, fleet ages further. Crisis deepens inevitably. Is escalation now unavoidable? Technological inferiority drives desperation. Cannot win air superiority conventionally. Must seek alternative approaches. Standoff weapons preferred. Keep aircraft from danger zones. But that limits effectiveness. Ground forces lack air support. Casualties mount accordingly. Pressure increases for escalation. Perhaps nuclear threats compensate. Perhaps longer-range strikes. Perhaps attacks on NATO directly. Desperation breeds dangerous decisions. What target is next? NATO airfield become tempting. Destroy F-35s on ground. Cannot beat them in air. Ballistic missiles against bases. Takes aircraft out of equation. But that escalates conflict dramatically. Article 5 invoked immediately. Direct NATO-Russia war. Nuclear threshold crossed potentially. The risks are catastrophic. Yet conventional defeat unacceptable. Logic drives toward escalation. Skyfall Warfare sees the trajectory. The broader lesson is clear. Air power requires constant investment. Technology advances never stop. Today's cutting edge is tomorrow's obsolete. Must continuously modernize or face irrelevance. Soviet Union collapsed 1991. That is 34 years ago. Aircraft from the era still flying, facing threats designed last decade. The gap is unbridgeable. Money cannot solve immediately. Time cannot be compressed. Physics cannot be negotiated. Stealth defeats old radar always. Modern sensors beat ancient ones. Network warfare trumps isolated platforms. Fifth generation dominates fourth generation. Fourth generation beats third generation. Russia flies third generation mostly. Against fifth generation opponents. Outcome predetermined before engagement. Pilots know this consciously. Fly anyway because ordered. Courage cannot overcome technology. Skill cannot defeat physics. Experience cannot beat sensors. They fly museum pieces against future and die in burning wreckage. Their sacrifice changes nothing. The technological gap remains, will remain for decades, unless fundamental changes occur. Subscribe to Skyfall Warfare when the sky starts falling.